All right, everybody, welcome to Studio B. I am your host, Pastor MDH. Thank you so very much for joining us here on this set today. Today is a very, very special day as this marks the 50,000th subscriber to Studio B, the podcast. Man, we want to send out a big celebration to every last one of you guys who have found what we talk about on this podcast valuable, helping your life, engaging, and the such. But thank you to each and every last one of you, 50,400 subscribers who have signed on to Studio B, the podcast via YouTube. Thank you so very much, man. This wouldn't have been possible without every last one of you. When this thing started a couple of years ago, we just wanted to talk about some issues that pertain to everyday life, and look at it now, man. God bless every last one of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for 50,000 plus subs. I got a lot of news to talk about, but I want to condense this to really talk about something that I just came off of. I just came off of an 8-day European excursion where we spent 5 days in Czech Republic, Czechia. And 23 of us went 5,422 miles to the capital of Czech Republic to do some evangelism in that beautiful country. And man, it is a beautiful, beautiful country. There's going to be some pictures flying up around here just so that I can show you what these eyes had an opportunity to witness. This was my second time in the country. And my second time was far better than the first. Not that I had a bad time the first time, but the first time that we went in March was about 15 degrees Fahrenheit, and it was extremely cold, bone-chilling cold. This time was actually the quite opposite, probably about 85 to 88 degrees outside, real dry heat, nothing like what we have here in Houston. But it was a very, very enjoyable experience. And I want to kind of give you my thoughts on that and then compare that to life over here in the States. So in Czech Republic, 8 out of 10 people are atheists. 8 out of 10 people in Czech Republic of over 10 million people have no religious affiliation whatsoever. They are atheists, and atheism is just kind of the lay of the land. As these 23 missionaries went over to Czech Republic for the sole purpose of witnessing and evangelizing, we would go up to people that were not hostile toward the gospel or the things of God. They weren't rude. They didn't cuss us out. There was no violent interactions. What we found in Czech is that they were just indifferent to God talk or to the gospel. They were just indifferent. They really didn't care one way or another. As we approached individuals on the street, many people were like, no, I'm okay, thank you, but no thank you. Very, very cordial in their denial. Nothing out of the ordinary. And this is from a largely, more than largely, atheist community. Of course, you can see through your camera lens that I am an African-American black person in the country of Czech, of over 10 million people. Less than 0.1% of that population is of African descent. As a matter of fact, they put a little small number to it of 4,288 African descendants are in the country of Czech, and they call them either Romas or Gypsies. And just to kind of keep it very, very simple, a Roma or a Gypsy is anybody that does not have lily white skin. So if you have brown skin, you are a Gypsy or a Roma. If you got black skin, you are a Gypsy or a Roma. If you do not hail from that particular region, you are a Gypsy and a Roma. And those are kind of like the outcast and disparaged communities, really kind of frowned upon if you really want to know the truth. So here we are in Czech Republic, 23 of us, and for 5 days we hit the town square, interacting and engaging anybody that came our way. And we probably talked collectively as a group to probably about 1,000 people. We went into the town square where the huge clock is, and we set up a praise and worship right there in the town square. And as all these people started to gather around to listen to these Americans sing these songs, we will begin to engage them in the gospel proclamation. We had some wonderful success, some amazing stories for the missionaries. God did an amazing work. We did have a few people that bowed their knee and say, "What must I do to be saved?" which was just a tremendous, tremendous blessing. But it got us to thinking that in Czech, here is a country that is overly pagan. Now, if you know anything about Czech, and I don't have time to go through the history, Czech Republic, as you're walking through the halls of Czech Republic, especially when you go down St. George's Bridge, there are religious relics everywhere. There are statues of St. Michael, St. Mary, Gabriel. There are pictures of Christ. There are statues everywhere, and these statues go all the way back, as Czech was founded in 950. So all the way back thousands of years. It is a highly religious type of entity, but within these last 100 years or so have really turned the corner to being an atheist community. But we were thinking that this is a city, a country that has no religious affiliation, but were terribly hospitable to us. Again, no violent interactions, no people cursing you out, no people saying, "Keep that God stuff away from me, I don't want to hear it." No type of disparaging interactions at all that I can recall. For 5 days, and then for 2 days we went to London for a little bit of R&R on our way back to the States. When we get back to the States, we get back to the place called America, which is supposed to be a Christian nation. A nation that is full of people that believe in the principles of the Word of God. We get back to this nation, and this nation, which claims to be religious, is one of the most hostile places on the planet to evangelize the gospel. And that is that is no understatement. America is a pagan nation. America is not a Christian nation. America, let me repeat it for the people in the back. America is not a Christian nation. America is a nation that has some Christians in it, but we are not a Christian nation. Even though we boast in God we trust on our money, even though we place our hand on the Bible and say, "Do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?" Even when you go to the Supreme Court and you see Moses with the 10 Commandments in his hand, as we have very religious type of jargon, we are not a religious nation. As of May 2024, the United States has between 350,000 to 400,000 churches, which is roughly 113 churches per county and one congregation for every 1,000 members. America has 400,000 churches, but yet America is a pagan nation. America has almost 3,000 mosques. America has over 3,700 Jewish synagogues. America is a deeply religious nation, but at its core, it is a deeply pagan nation that knows not the things of God. So while we're in a country called Czech, where 8 out of 10 people are avowed atheists that have no religious affiliation whatsoever, and proselytizing them about the gospel, they were no, thank you, no, that's not me. They were highly, highly respectable and highly, highly cordial. Remember, 8 out of 10 people in Czech have no religious affiliation. But then we get on the plane and travel back across the Atlantic to hit the hyper-religiousized America that claims to have a religious affiliation, that claims to have moral principles, and this nation is almost morally bankrupt, all the while claiming to have religious affiliation. It wouldn't be so bad if that was just in the world. As I told the team when we got back, y'all need to expect that, now we've left Czech, y'all need to expect that the principles and and the prayers and the evangelism that we did in Czech Republic, it is not going to be the same in America. These people are not going to tolerate you because America don't want to have nothing to do with God. And they're not going to be cordial and say, hey, no, that's not my thing. You do you, I do me. They're not going to act like that. In America, in God we trust on our money, they are going to be highly belligerent to you. And I mean to the degree to where they're going to persecute you, they're going to ridicule you, and they're going to wish you hate your existence. But again, this is in the context of a nation that claims religious relationship. 400,000 churches in America that has 353 million people in it. And does anybody at all for 1 second think that America is a deeply Christian nation? Absolutely not. While America has been founded on Christian principles all the way back to the Declaration of Independence. That's true. But America has completely and utterly lost its moral compass. It would be one thing if that was just in the world, but it's in the church now. I want you to think about how apathetic the typical church is. I want you to think about the lackluster, the fervor, the passion, the love for the things of God that are in the typical church right now. Steeples everywhere. Go down any street, especially in the black community, get a rock, throw it 50 feet, and you're going to hit a church. Walk down the street, get a rock, throw it in any direction, and you're going to hit a pastor or a deacon or somebody with a cross around their neck or somebody with a monogram Bible. Just go anywhere. Go into any restaurant, and you will see people praying over their food and blessing their food. America is a deeply religious nation. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. As a matter of fact, we are so religious that you have the freedom of religion enshrined in the Bill of Rights. It's according to the First Amendment. That's how deeply religious we are. But we are not practicing the religion that we claim to have. Think about this all the way down the party lines, and think about this all the way down the religious lines, the racial lines, and think about the deep divide that is in America. Think about a nation that claims God as its king, or once did, but aborts 2.5 million babies a year. Think about this in its context. And so what I was sharing with the team when we came back was after we were on a high and we were, even talking to people that didn't want anything to do with Jesus. They didn't want anything to do with God. Like, they made that clear. But they sit there and they conversed with us. I remember this one gentleman who was overwhelmingly drunk as the stench of alcohol just pureed from his skin. As we are talking to this young man, a brother that was on a trip with me, Brother Pikes, we were talking to this young man, and alcohol was just profusing off of him. And this man, who claims no religious affiliation, heard the gospel for the first time in his life. Heard the gospel for the first time in his life. And watching this man engaged in the proclamation of the gospel did wonders to my spirit. It did wonders to my spirit. Because as a pastor, I got to come back here to the United States in these comfortable churches with comfortable Christians, and they fold their hands and go to sleep while the preacher is preaching from the pulpit from the same Bible that they claim to have an affinity to. That was a 96-year-old man that Deacon Sterling engaged, 96 years old. And for the first time in his entire 96 years has he heard the proclamation of the gospel of Christ. First time in 96 years did he hear the proclamation of Christ. And when we talked about that back at the hotel, I told them that's God's grace. Because even now if this 96-year-old man dies, he dies without excuse. And I was encouraging the team, and we had an amazing time. Czech Republic is a beautiful place. It's got amazing food, amazing people. The hospitality was amazing. It is one of the most irreligious countries on the entire planet. I knew that going in. We prepared for that. The team was trained on how to engage strangers in intentional conversations about Christ. I trained them in that. I was expecting that when I got over there. But then when I get back, as we fly into International George Bush Intercontinental Airport and hit back into the States on the tarmac in Houston, Texas, we are now faced with an entirely different challenge that is much more challenging than 8 out of 10 people who don't know Christ. Because now we got to come back to a nation and talk to people who think they know Christ. Matthew 7:21. Not all who say unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter the kingdom of heaven. So now we got to come back to a nation that has people that think they know Christ, that have all the religious jargon you could possibly ever imagine. Belong to churches, give to churches, go to the church picnic, go to church functions. They are religious in their activity, but in their relation, they are void. And let me just end this by saying, I believe to the depths of my being that God is coming back soon, that Jesus is coming back soon. I believe that. But I want to give you something that will prayerfully help you. I want you to think about what the Bible talks about for the return of Christ. What is it going to look like when Jesus Christ returns? Because God is so good is that God didn't want to catch us off guard. And though he said it's going to come like a thief in the night and no man shall know the day or the hour, he doesn't leave us with an exact date, time, or location, but he does not leave us without planning. So while we don't know the day or the time or where it's going to happen, where he touches his foot back down on earth for the second time, his second advent, God has not left us unprepared. And so it says here that just in the days of Noah, just like in the days of Noah, so shall it be when the Son of Man returns. I want you to look here in Matthew chapter number 27 and verse number 37, 24, verse number 37. And I want you to read this because, again, this is important if you understanding what's going on. For just as in the days of Noah, so will it be at the coming of the Son of Man. For in those days, the days of Noah, before the flood, watch what they were doing. They were eating, drinking, marrying, giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered the ark. And they did not understand until the flood came and swept them all away. So shall it be at the coming of the Son of Man. So Jesus here says, I'm coming. Now, I'm not going to tell you the day, I'm not going to tell you the time, I'm not going to tell you the location, but let me give you what to look for. Just like in the days of Noah, it's going to be the exact same way when I return for the second advent. And I want to encourage all of you good people out there. Some of you that says, you know what? I don't care about none of this stuff. I get that. I get that. You're entitled to your own opinion and how you do things. Good. But here's one of the things that I want you to know. God is not mocked. He's not mocked. God is not mocked. Don't be confused or blindsided because of your religious activity. You need to know that you know that you know that you know. I was struck to my core, even hurt to my heart, when I stepped back on American soil and saw the apathy that is in our nation. And it would be one thing if America didn't claim to be a religious nation. It would be one thing if America didn't claim to be guided by religious principles. If we don't say it, then there's no expectation to hold us to it. But America claims this. It claims it. And America is anything but Christian. It is anything but religious. Praise God for the remnant of people like me and you. Thank God for those who have held on to the bloodstained banner. Thank God for those who still believe that the Bible is true and that Jesus is who he says that he is. Thank God for the remnant, because the remnant is how God is going to move. He's not going to move through the masses. He's going to move through the remnant. And the remnant is the only people that is staying the wrath of God. The Bible says when that last person gets saved, the Son of Man shall return. So everybody listen, we got some work to do. America is deeply divided right now, deeply divided on every single fault line that you could possibly imagine. But more than religious, more than racial, more than economic, more than educational, we are divided on spiritual lines. We have completely cut ourselves off from God. We have told God that we don't want him. We've pushed him out of every waypoint in our society. And we are getting our just due. America is looking like a pagan nation. It is looking like a nation that is not governed by any heavenly principles. It is looking like that every single day. Look at our leaders. Look at those who claim to speak for us. Look at our churches. Look at our members. Look at those who claim to be Christians. Look at how morally bankrupt we have become in a nation that claims to know God. But I believe that God has a remnant. And maybe you're one of them. Maybe you are that one. Sometimes you get a bit discouraged because you see the same things that I see. Sometimes you just want to throw up your hands and kind of hide your head under the pillow. Sometimes you just want to say, hey, what's the point? Ain't nobody listening anyway. I get it. Those are real emotions and real feelings. I get it. I've been there more times than I care to admit. But I want to encourage you with everything that I have in me for you to keep on keeping on. It pays off. Jesus is who he says that he is. He will come back. He is coming back for us, his church. It's going to be a day that there will be no more suffering, no more crying, no more pain, no more tears, no more heartache, no more backbiting, no more lying. It's going to come a day. When that day is going to be, I don't know. That's why the just shall live by faith and not by sight. So everybody, again, I want to thank you guys for just all that you do. Wherever you at in your own particular life and your own particular waypoint, God bless you. God is doing a great thing. And if that's you, if you are part of that remnant, stay faithful. Stay focused. Keep your hand in the master's hand. And I promise you, God won't let you down. So, everybody, all of the 50,400 subscribers, thank you so very much. Man, that is a lot that is going on in my world right now, in the world of Studio B. There's a lot of doors that are being opened, a lot of opportunities that are being realized. I pray that you guys continue to tune in every single Monday at the 9 o'clock hour so that you don't miss anything coming from the set of Studio B. Remember, when you are informed, you are empowered. So be informed, be empowered. Studio B. We'll see you next time.